What if I tell you that drinking bleach or disinfectant is a cure for coronavirus? You would scorn me, right? And what if someone you know tells you the same? You might doubt it when you hear it. When you find the same information in many of the social media platforms that you're on, you might still suspect dubious information like this, won't you? But not everyone would be prudent, so eventually you may believe it to be true. Just as coronavirus has spread across the world, so too has misinformation. So here we are to discuss a very pertinent issue in this digital age, which is fake news and disinformation. Hello everyone, welcome to this MOOC course on media laws and ethics. The objective of this particular lecture on fake news and disinformation is to discuss about the rise of fake news, how it has been spreading across the world and how it has been affecting the politics of different countries and the livelihoods of the normal people. And we are also going to discuss how we are going to combat the spread of fake news in this digital age. The term fake news is a neologism which represents news that has false or misleading information. It can be communicated in a spoken, written, electronic, print or digital format. Fake news is much larger than simply false news stories. Some stories may have a nugget of truth but may lack details to contextualize it. They may not include verifiable facts or sources. Some stories may have basic verifiable facts but are written in a style that is deliberately inflammatory. It may leave out pertinent details or only represent one viewpoint. Fake news exists in the larger ecosystem of disinformation and misinformation. So what is disinformation? Disinformation is the information that is false and deliberately created to harm a person, a social group, an organization, or a country. The word disinformation originates from the Russian word disinformatsiya, information which Soviet defined as the dissemination of false reports in media intended to mislead public opinion. The word is also believed to be originated in the 1930s Nazi Germany. Disinformation is politically motivated messaging designed exclusively to create public distrust, uncertainty, or paranoia with the hope that it will discourage the citizens from engaging in mobilization for social or political change. Whereas misinformation is information that is false but not created with the intention of causing harm. Malinformation is information that is not outright lies or fabrication, but is used purposefully to inflict harm on a person, a social group, an organization, or a country. Something like this. The disinformation technique or the misinformation technique is not novel. It has been there for a long time. But this digital age has actually enhanced the vulnerability of manipulation through information. So that exactly is the problem. In part, these changes have been brought in by the advent of new social media platforms and their growing dominance over advertising revenues. Social media's importance can be gauged by the fact that Facebook now has more than 2.5 billion users. There is Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram and YouTube, which also have a large number of users sharing content and news, discussing, baiting or just consuming content every day. So globally, social media exercise has the highest influence on public discourse. This has changed the incentives for content providers like we see with YouTube, and this has promoted the rise of unprofessional and unscrupulous outlets capable of drawing large audiences at low cost. Internet breaks the idea of traditional gatekeepers. It is an open market where anyone with a good idea can come and communicate. So it is a revolution. But over a period of time, you've got very much used to it and you're excited only with the content that surprises you. So ultimately, you're waiting only for a content that gets a click, which is a clickbait. So this has become a breeding ground for fake news. And fake news generally is targeted at the vulnerable population, and this is a tradition of any kind of communication tool that you have been seeing in the history. The role of disinformation in 2016 US presidential elections gave rise to the term fake news. Fake news generally can be a deceptive content, it can be slanted reporting, the content can be contentious, or it can be large-term hoaxes, or it can be a joke taken at a face value. We have examples of fake news from 2011 itself. Facebook pages were promoting fake news pages for advertising revenue. By producing tailored false content targeted at the views and preferences of social media users, these pages can generate tens of thousands of interactions and lakhs of rupees a month. In 2015, Facebook took steps to control these kind of misinformation on Facebook in the name newsfeed scam. But by 2016, it was very obvious that the problem was getting out of control. For example, in September 2017, Facebook disclosed that around 3,000 ads related to divisive US political issues were purchased by a network of 470 accounts and pages suspected to be run out of Russia. Facebook also stated that at least a quarter of those were geographically targeted. Twitter deleted 200 accounts linked to these Facebook accounts promoting fake news content like this. In 2016, Twitter also revealed that Russian state-funded broadcaster RT spent around $270,000 on ads targeting users in the US. There were research findings that suggest that scale of low-quality political information on these platforms was much larger, particularly in swing states, that is the states that could either be won by the Democrats or Republicans. The degree of Russian influence on this market of digital misinformation is unknown. So how does fake news spread? There is too much information around us, and none of us really want to be bombarded with information. But at the same time, we don't want to miss out on something, an information that might be happening around us or around the world that may affect our lives or may not even affect our lives. This curiosity is actually the tipping point for fake news. Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Twitter, all these kind of platforms have too much of scientifically dubious information which can be potentially harmful. Most of the time, we think that the information that we are forwarding are true. But there are scientifically advanced technologies nowadays which are artificial intelligence assisted technologies which can actually steer your voice and your video to the existing recordings. So, it can create videos or audios that are really believable, like this.
They could have me say things like, Killmonger was right.
Wrong.
You see, I would never say these things, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele.
These kinds of convincing videos and audios are called as deepfakes. This can create situations where real criminals can escape from a crime claiming these videos to be false. These kind of videos can be provocative and create a situation of distrust around us. So I can even have a convincing video like this, create it, and have my cyber troops or social media volunteers to spread these videos around us. So you might be wondering now, what exactly is a cyber troop? Cyber troops can be private contractors hired by governments to spread political messages on social media. They can also be a band of volunteer groups or paid citizens hired by the government, political parties, or politicians who are interested in shaping public opinion in their favor. Cyber troops do individual targeting of opinion leaders like prominent bloggers, journalists, and activists by abusing them using hate speech or trolling them online. Cyber troops also create substantial content to push political messages, and this could be done in the form of blog posts, videos, fake news shares, etc. To mask their identity, cyber troops also use a technique called as astroturfing, which means a technique to appear as if a particular organization is supported by grassroots participants by masking the sponsors of the organization. This term, astroturfing, is derived from the brand AstroTurf, a brand of synthetic carpeting designed to resemble natural grass. This term thus implies that true or natural grassroots efforts behind the activity in question is fake or artificial. We are going to see why we should be concerned about fake news. Fake news is spreading everywhere. It is rampant in our digital spaces. But why should we be concerned? Our civilization is based on the very fact that we are able to distinguish between fact and fiction. What will happen to our communities, our businesses, our governments if we are not able to believe what we see, what we hear, or what we read? We actually act the way we do just because we believe something to be true. We make decisions and we change policies based on the facts that we know. Platform companies like Facebook use algorithms to capture our interest and keep us using their website. Computer codes that curate content based on our online habits. A recent survey shows that this system is radicalizing and isolating people from the broader civic society. These algorithms are designed to prioritize content that will get clicked. In short, they are clickbaits. This is a perfect breeding ground for fake news. But democracy in its core requires informed citizens with a pluralistic mindset. The mainstream media has checkpoints which has always pushed them to give away fair, balanced, and fact-checked information. It is dangerous for journalistic truth when everyone, including the media, is competing to get attention, with more and more people depending on content online. Hence, there is a whole lot of information that is not properly researched and is biased or simply fake news. We can quote several examples from around the world to understand the gravity of the situation. In Indonesia and India, false news of kidnappers had killed people. In Sri Lanka, Facebook posts based on wrong information created rifts between Hindus and Muslims, and a man was burnt alive. Similar Facebook posts created communal clashes in Myanmar. In 2013, Associated Press tweeted that 2 explosions happened in the White House and Obama was injured. It was retweeted 4,000 times in 5 minutes. It went viral. Actually, the Twitter handle was hacked by some Syrian hackers. The information within hours affected the stock market. The stock market crashed with the loss of $140 billion in equity value in a single day. To talk about the impacts of fake news in politics, we also had Russian companies meddling with 2016 US presidential elections by spreading malinformation on social media platforms. In the 2018 Swedish elections, they found out that about 1/3 of all the information spread on social media about the elections was fake or misinformation. These kinds of misinformation affects democracies, it affects economies, affects innocent people in situations of terrorist attacks, or affect people during natural disasters. This fake information can be genocidal, as in the case of Rohingya Muslims in Burma, or mob lynchings in India as well. In the 2017 French presidential election, Facebook deleted 30,000 free French accounts from the platform. This gives you an understanding of the scale of these operations. Information operation, likely of Russian origin, released hacked documents just before the elections to damage the campaign of Emmanuel Macron, the eventual winner. The manipulation of information has been a feature of Syria's civil war since the beginning of the conflict. Research from different countries show that there had been an array of political, military, and private players who had been using cyber troops to manipulate the public opinion through social media. In 2010, the first set of cyber troops were found, and by the end of 2017, it was prevalent. The use of social media manipulation through cyber troops was prevalent in 28 countries around the world, including India. There is also a term called hashtag poisoning. They spam or trend hashtags to disrupt criticism or unwanted conversation through the flood of unrelated tweets. An Oxford paper quotes that hashtag poisoning is prevalent in Saudi Arabia. So far, we have seen what exactly is fake news, what is disinformation and misinformation. We have also seen how fake news has been rising in this digital era.